sun was actually blowing the smoke out here, and it made the solar facility like glow somehow. And the sun was doing something with the clouds and making the solar facility had this like intense glow, or maybe glare, facing the highway, so you could see it very clearly from the highway. It was this very bright light. It was really strange to see. Normally you can't see that. And yeah, that's totally the solar farm. There's this big tower in the middle of it. Over by that solar farm, there's also some dunes, the Tonopah dunes. There's a dune buggy off-highway vehicle area over there, run by, I think, the state, maybe the BLM, maybe it's the BLM. And, that's the funny thing, I should talk about that too. The funny thing about Nevada is that this is all federal land. There may be some guy who's running his cattle on it, and he has grazing rights, but the federal government owns it, and he pays money to the federal government to use that land. So that means most of the time you can camp almost anywhere you want in Nevada. That's what's interesting, is it's got this reputation as kind of a libertarian state, where you want to go off and shoot some rounds in the desert. Yeah, you should be able to do that. Well, the reason you can do that is because the government owns the land. If the government didn't own the land, somebody would own the land. They probably wouldn't want you out there shooting. They'd probably charge you to shoot out there. So the fact you can just drive out in the desert. And I mean, that's kind of the way it went with California. Even the desert areas, I mean, they're owned by somebody. But even those, except for some really high altitude, mountain areas of the Sierra, it's owned by somebody. And obviously the national parks. Little rest area here. Looks like it's still open too. Because of COVID, they got a lot of these rest areas closed, or at least the bathrooms are closed, which is unfortunate. That's created a little bit of a bathroom issue. Where you're driving around in this, from place to place. Used to be you could rely on places like Starbucks or McDonald's or just different restaurants for bathrooms. That's not the case anymore. It's pretty much maybe gas stations and truck stops for bathrooms. And lots of times you rely on rest areas. Not really the case anymore. A lot of the rest area bathrooms are closed because they don't want the liability of someone saying they contracted COVID-19 from a state rest area. Because cleaning that is keeping it up to standards is rough. They can't afford to send somebody out every day. With something that's isolated. It's gonna take them longer to drive out there than it is to, especially round trip, than it is to clean the bathroom in the first place. That might actually be Tonopah up there. If it is, we're a little early. Maybe not. First thing you hit in Tonopah is there's actually a brand new hotel they built. I want to say Comfort Inn, maybe Holiday Inn Express. It's a Chevron station with the worst Burger King in the world, and then Clown Motel, and then junk. Just you get to see how dirty of a town. Not really dirty, I shouldn't say that. Tonopah is pretty ugly. Tonopah is very clearly a mining town, and it hasn't. Even though it's kind of moved on from that economically, it's not focused on mining anymore. It's focused on tourism. There's a lot more tourism jobs in Tonopah than there are mining jobs. That's kind of the way it is because of the highway, because of its location. It lucked out the fact that it's isolated. It's like I said, it's one of these most essential towns, you have to stop. And who knows? Maybe we get better solar-powered cars. We get better electrical vehicles, more charge, more hybrid engines. That may not be the case anymore. Because who the hell wants to stop in Tonopah? I mean, let's face it. I mean, I guess I do. I'm going to Tonopah. So, I'm not just going to Tonopah and then leaving. Tomorrow, I'm going to head north, go up to a ghost town. Actually, well, the primary ghost town's Manhattan. It's part of the Manhattan mining district, which includes several ghost towns and old mines. That there are still a number of remnants still, at least from what I can tell from satellite views. So, give me a chance to go to a ghost town. Give me something to do out here. And after that, I'm going to drive down to Ridgecrest. And, Ridgecrest, that's partially because it's close to you. It's close to Route 6, so I get to do a little more Route 6 footage and driving and seeing some sights. But also, I wanted to take this trip to spend some time in the desert. Not that I like necessarily being out here when it's 108, but I do, during the day. But I do like the nights in the desert in the summer. It's when it's, and it's still 91. But once the sun goes down, it doesn't quite feel as hot. 91 does not feel like 91, and then it'll get down to the 70s later, and it'll feel really nice. It'll be really comfortable to be outside. Especially in the dry air. So I'm going up the hill right now. Tonopah is on a hill. Yes, this is Tonopah, I can tell. It just looked closer than it actually was. So we'll be coming up on here, and I'll be driving to downtown Tonopah. Get to see that. So within Tonopah, 95 and 6 split. 95 goes to Vegas, 6 goes to Ely. This little T intersection, not quite in the middle of town, but pretty much in the middle of town. It's not controlled. There's just a stop sign on 6. I'm trying to think if Tonopah even has a traffic light, and I'm kind of thinking it doesn't. But I don't know. We can talk about. So I mentioned Tonopah is in 3 different counties. Tonopah is not incorporated. Well, I don't know about most. Maybe most towns in Nevada are not incorporated. Kind of the same as in California. There's a lot of towns in California, and if you look at a list of cities and towns, it's probably only showing you incorporated towns. There's still, double or maybe even triple that number of unincorporated towns in the state. Nevada is kind of the same way. There's towns like Tonopah, Yerington. Maybe Yerington is incorporated. I don't know. West Wendover. The areas around Vegas, Summerlin, Paradise, which is the CDP where the Strip is located. A lot of people don't realize the Strip is not actually in Las Vegas. It's just outside the city limits. And, the benefit of not having the incorporation, as far as I know, they don't have to. I don't know. It depends on, it goes by state. And I don't really know what the details is with Nevada, but I'm sure there's some benefit to not being incorporated. So, Tonopah, however, is the county seat of, I believe, Nye County. There is a courthouse in Tonopah. It's, even though it's at the very northernmost edge of Nye County, which is strange, the fact that Nye County, it's so large, and its county seat is all the way at the top. And that's just from them, looking at, for the most part, looking at Nevada and just, drawing lines on maps. Nye County, as you look at it, And as far as like straight lines, it makes sense. You know, you think, oh yeah, okay, this absolutely makes sense. As far as how it was set up, though, no, it doesn't make much sense. You know, probably Tonopah should be in its own county. The county seat of that county. So off to the right, one of the hills, there's some radio towers. I believe those are also television towers. There's a couple off to the left as well, but there's also a big old T. And you can't see it very well in the cloud cover in the darkness, but there's a big T for Tonopah. One of those things I like to look at in towns, these little towns out in the desert, because they like to go up there and on a hill with a bunch of dark rocks and put a bunch of white rocks or light colored rocks to form a letter. And it's typically some either high school or college class that does that. And I think that was the case here. But so yeah, get into it. We're going down to 45. Something out there. I never noticed that. Looks like almost an abandoned raceway over there. So off to my left there is a camper village. There's campers, but there's also little cabins, kind of modular housing. That is for petroleum workers. There's a lot of petroleum activity around Tonopah, and the guys who come in, and I shouldn't say guys. Yes, there are some girls, but there's mostly guys who come in to work the wells. Typically, don't want to buy a house here. They don't even want to rent a house here. There's a lot of apartments here. There's actually, you can see some over to the right here. But they would rather live either in a camper or in a little modular house that they can rent, or maybe stay at the Comfort Inn. Who knows? This is probably the nicest hotel in Tonopah. I've stayed at the Best Western also. I specifically try to avoid staying at Tonopah, but I've stayed at the Best Western. I've stayed at the last time I was here, I stayed at Tonopah Station. The Best Western's not bad. I would say before this Comfort Inn came in, and granted I haven't been to this Comfort Inn, I'm just making assumptions on its age, but the Best Western before that time was definitely the best hotel in Tonopah. So there's the Clown Motel, and if you look up, if you wanna laugh a little bit, look up, and you'll have to remember this one: Clown Motel, Longmont Potion Castle. Look that up, because I've listened to it, and it's not disgusting or anything. I've listened to it several times, and I still think it's absolutely hilarious. Did I get into a 25 zone? I must have. Man, Bank Club is not making bank, are they? The kitchen's open. So I'm gonna wrap up the video up here. If you watch, the whole thing, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed that. That was a very pretty drive. It was prettier than it could have been if it wasn't, if it was just clear skies. It actually would have been a lot less interesting. So it's nice to do that. So I'm gonna turn in here and turn off the camera and not do any more videos for the night. So again, thanks for watching, and I'll post a new video. I'll probably be doing another video tomorrow when I drive over to. I have to park way back here.